If you're not using these features, your BMW is quietly wasting fuel every single time you drive it. And here's what makes that frustrating. You already paid for the systems that fix it. Every one of them. They're built in, they're activated through your dash, and most owners never touch them. I've been working on BMWs for over 2 decades, and I can tell you that the gap between what these cars are capable of and what owners are actually getting out of them at the pump is significant. Today we're going through 14 features that are already inside your car and can genuinely stretch every tank of fuel. Stay with me through number 8. I've watched owners leave this shop for years without ever knowing it existed. That one alone can change how you drive. Let's get into it. Quick note before we start. These features apply across most BMW models from around 2013 onward, with some going back even further. I'll flag anything that's model or year specific as we go. Your owner's manual is always the final word for your exact car. All right, tip number 1. Tip 1, ECO Pro mode. Right there on your center console, or through your iDrive, depending on your model, is something called the Driving Experience Control. It lets you switch between comfort, sport, adaptive, and ECO Pro. Most BMW owners drive in comfort every single day. They never move it. Here's what BMW's own engineering data says. ECO Pro mode can reduce your fuel consumption by up to 20% compared to comfort mode. On top of that, additional ECO Pro functions, which we'll cover, can add another 5% on top. How? The system simultaneously adjusts 2 things: your accelerator pedal response and your automatic transmission shift points. The throttle becomes more progressive, which naturally discourages hard acceleration. The gearbox shifts to higher gears earlier, keeping the engine in its most efficient RPM band. At the same time, your BMW softens the air conditioning load in ECO Pro mode. You likely won't notice the difference in cabin comfort. The engine absolutely notices the difference in workload. For a typical BMW owner covering 15,000 miles a year, a 20% improvement in fuel economy is serious money. That's not a rounding error. And the next feature shows you exactly how much money you're saving in real time. Tip 2, the bonus range display. When you're in ECO Pro mode, your instrument cluster or iDrive screen shows something called bonus range. It's a live readout, in miles, of the extra range you've earned through efficient driving on that journey. BMW converts your savings into something concrete, not a percentage, not grams of CO2. Extra miles. You might look down and see you've earned 14 extra miles today. That's tangible. That's a number that means something. For some of my customers, just watching that number climb completely changed how they drive. It becomes a habit. Find it under CAR, then driving information in your iDrive. If you've never opened that menu, you're going to be surprised what's in there. This next one uses technology borrowed directly from Formula One, and it's already running every time you slow down. Tip 3, brake energy regeneration. BMW developed this for motorsport. Every time you lift off the throttle or press the brake, your BMW's alternator captures the kinetic energy of the car, slowing down, and uses it to charge the battery. Here's where the fuel saving comes in. Once the battery is sufficiently charged through regeneration, the alternator reduces its mechanical load on the engine. Less load on the engine means less fuel burned to maintain speed and power the car's electrical systems. It happens automatically. You don't switch it on, but you can maximize it by developing one habit. Lift off the throttle early when you see traffic slowing or a light ahead. Let the car do its work. That one habit, early throttle lift, is one of the single highest impact changes any BMW owner can make. This next one sounds simple, but BMW's own tests put a real number on what it's worth. Tip 4, the Optimum shift indicator. On many BMW models with a manual gearbox, you'll see an upward arrow appear in the instrument cluster when the car's computer calculates the optimal moment to shift to a higher gear for fuel efficiency. BMW's own comparative testing found that drivers who follow the Optimum shift indicator consistently use around 4% less fuel than those shifting by feel. 4% compounded over tens of thousands of miles is real money. If you drive a manual BMW and that arrow's been appearing without you acting on it, start treating it like the fuel-saving tool it is. The car knows its own fuel maps better than any of us do by feel alone. Now, this next one is controversial, and I know some of you are going to push back. Tip 5. Electric power steering. This one runs completely in the background, and most owners never think about it. Traditional hydraulic power steering uses a pump driven by the engine, continuously, whether you're turning or not. That's a constant parasitic drain on fuel. BMW's electric power steering only draws power when you actually input steering movement. Driving in a straight line on the motorway, the steering system is drawing essentially nothing. It's not something you activate, but it's a reason why sport mode, which sharpens steering feel through increased electrical input, has a measurable energy cost compared to Comfort or ECO Pro. When economy is the goal, let the steering system run quietly. This next one is passive, but it's draining your economy every single month if you're not paying attention to it. Tip 6. Tire pressure. Your BMW has a tire pressure monitoring system. Most owners only look at it when a warning light comes on. By that point, you've already been losing fuel economy. The U.S. Department of Energy has documented this clearly. Underinflated tires lower your gas mileage by 0.3% for every single PSI drop across all 4 tires. And tires naturally lose 1 to 2 psi per month just from normal air permeation through the rubber. Run all 4 tires 10 psi low and you've quietly lost around 3% of your fuel economy. No warning light, no obvious symptom, just money at the pump. The correct PSI is on the door jamb sticker, not the maximum number stamped on the tire sidewall. Those are 2 completely different numbers with different meanings. On your iDrive, go to Vehicle, then Vehicle Status, then Tire Pressure. Check it monthly. Set a phone reminder if it helps. 5 minutes once a month protects your MPG all year. The next one uses physics to do what your brakes would normally do, and it burns almost no fuel doing it. Tip 7. The coasting function. On Steptronic-equipped BMWs in ECO Pro mode, when you lift off the accelerator at speed, the transmission can disengage from the engine entirely, letting the car coast freely with the engine at near idle, burning almost nothing. BMW documents that the coasting function alone can account for up to 5% fuel savings on routes where you use it consistently. The key is anticipation. You can't coast effectively if you react late. When you see an off-ramp, a slower speed zone, or traffic beginning to slow well ahead, lift off early. Give the system time to engage. Your cluster will show you a coasting indicator when it's active. Once you start watching for it, you'll start planning your drives to trigger it. And that shift in mindset, thinking further ahead, is exactly what the next tip is built around. Tip 8. The Route Ahead Assistant. All right, here it is. Number 8. This feature is documented in your owner's manual. BMW built it, engineered it, and equipped it on most models with Navigation Professional from around 2013 onward. And in 20-plus years of working on these cars, I can count on 2 hands the number of customers who walked in knowing it existed. It's called the Route Ahead Assistant. Here's what it does. When you're in ECO Pro mode with an active navigation destination entered, the system reads the road ahead using GPS map data. It detects speed limit changes, town boundaries, corners, roundabouts, junctions, any event that will require you to slow down before you can see it, and often before you'd ever think to react. When it detects one of those zones approaching, it gives you a prompt on the instrument cluster to lift off the throttle and coast. If you follow it, the Steptronic transmission disengages, the engine drops to idle, and the car glides toward the zone using stored kinetic energy. No throttle, near zero fuel consumption for those seconds. BMW's figures show the Route Ahead Assistant, combined with the coasting function, can save up to 5% of fuel on a given route. On its own, it's one of the most sophisticated fuel-saving tools on the car, and almost nobody uses it. To activate it, switch to ECO Pro mode, enter a destination and navigation, and the system runs automatically. One important caveat: it needs reasonably current map data to work properly. If your BMW maps haven't been updated in several years, the system is working from outdated road information. Check your map version under iDrive, then Navigation, then Map version. BMW offers over-the-air updates on newer models and USB updates on older systems. It's a straightforward process and worth doing. This is the single most underused fuel-saving feature on the entire car. Use it starting this week. This next one loses owners money slowly and silently, and almost none of them connect it to their fuel economy. Tip 9. Engine oil specification. This one loses owners money slowly and silently, and most never connect it to their fuel economy. BMW specifies exact oil viscosities and certification standards for their engines, using an oil 1 grade heavier than specified. Say 10W30, where 5W30 is called for. Increases internal friction throughout the engine. The U.S. Department of Energy quantifies this. The wrong viscosity can reduce fuel economy by 1 to 2% every mile you drive. BMW engines typically call for low-viscosity synthetics, meeting a BMW long lift specification, L01, L04, or L17, depending on your engine generation. You'll find the exact specification on the oil filler cap or in your owner's manual. Don't let a quick change shop substitute whatever's on their shelf because it's close enough. It isn't. Use the right oil. It's a free MPG improvement on your next service. The next feature is like having a driving coach in the passenger seat, except this one actually knows your BMW. Tip 10. iDrive driving style analysis. Under CAR, then driving information, then driving style analysis in your iDrive, your BMW keeps a running log of your driving behavior. It evaluates your anticipation, meaning how far ahead you're reading the road, your acceleration smoothness, and how often you're using the coasting function. This isn't cosmetic. The system identifies the specific behaviors burning the most fuel and shows you where in your drive they occurred. After each journey, you can see how long the start/stop system had the engine off, how much of the trip was spent coasting, and where you were in ECO Pro mode. Customers of mine who started reviewing this screen once a week, not obsessively, just occasionally, consistently reported noticeable MPG improvements within a month. The data builds self-awareness that carries into how you drive automatically. Most people think of this next feature as a convenience tool. It's actually one of the best fuel savers on the highway. Tip 11. Adaptive cruise control. If your BMW has active cruise control, standard or optional on most models since the early 2010s, you have a precision fuel economy tool that most owners only use when they're tired. Human drivers, even careful ones, accelerate and decelerate in small, irregular bursts. Those micro fluctuations burn more fuel than holding a perfectly steady speed. The engine is constantly adjusting load. The drivetrain is constantly responding. When you set ACC on the highway, the system holds your target speed with far less variation than any human input. On an extended highway run, some estimates put the fuel economy benefit at 5 to 7% over manual driving. Set it, stay in ECO Pro or Comfort mode, and let the system work. On a 400 or 500 mile run, that's a meaningful number of extra miles between fill-ups. Tip 12. Preconditioning, hybrid and EV models. For those of you in the BMW plug-in hybrid or electric family, the 330e, 530e, X545e, iX, i4, and others, this tip is particularly valuable. BMW's preconditioning function lets you heat or cool the cabin while the car is still plugged in, using electricity from the grid rather than from your battery or engine. Heating and air conditioning are enormous energy draws on any car, combustion or electric. If your cabin is already at your target temperature when you pull out of the driveway, that entire energy cost was paid by your home power supply, not your driving range. BMW's own documentation confirms this can significantly increase your electric driving range per charge because the climate system isn't competing with the drivetrain for battery capacity during your journey. Set it through the BMW Connected Drive app or through the departure timer in iDrive. Program your typical departure time once, and from then on you leave every morning in a preconditioned car at zero range cost. Tip 13. ECO Pro Speed Limit Alert. Inside ECO Pro mode, there's a setting most owners have never found, called the ECO Pro limit. You set a target highway speed, and the system gives you a gentle alert when you exceed it. This works on straightforward physics. Aerodynamic drag increases with the square of velocity, not linearly. The jump from 70 to 80 miles per hour doesn't cost you 14% more fuel. It costs significantly more than that because the air resistance at 80 is dramatically higher. Find the setting under CR, then Settings, then Driving Mode, then ECO Pro in iDrive. Set a realistic cruising speed. Let nudge you when you drift over. On a long highway drive, it's a quiet and effective way to protect your fuel economy without constantly watching the speedometer. Tip 14. Aerodynamics. BMW's engineers put serious resources into the aerodynamics of every model. The frontal area, underbody panels, and on many modern BMWs, active grille shutters that close automatically at higher speeds to reduce drag. The car is shaped to move through air with as little resistance as possible. Some owners work directly against that design without realizing it. Aftermarket front add-ons, roof-mounted cargo boxes, external bike racks. These all increase frontal drag substantially. A roof cargo box at highway speeds can reduce fuel economy by 10 to 25% according to studies. That's not a small number. At highway speeds, drag is the dominant energy cost. When you're not using exterior accessories, remove them. Take the roof box off between camping trips. Pull the bike rack when the bikes aren't on it. Your BMW's aerodynamics work exactly as designed, but only when you let them. That's 14 features already built into your BMW, already paid for, that can add real miles to every tank. Let me give you the short version to walk away with. Switch to ECO Pro. Watch the bonus range climb. Enter a navigation destination so the route ahead assistant can work. Let start/stop do its job. Check tire pressure once a month. Run the right oil spec. And on the highway, put adaptive cruise on and let the car hold pace. None of this requires a modification. None of it requires spending more money. These are systems BMW's engineering teams spent significant resources developing, and they only pay you back if you actually use them. Now here's what I want you to do. Drop your BMW model and your current real-world MPG in the comments below. Then come back in 30 days after putting some of these into practice and tell me what changed. I genuinely want to see the numbers. That kind of data is useful for everyone watching this channel. If this video gave you something useful, a thumbs up helps more BMW owners find it. And subscribe if you want to stay ahead of what your car can actually do. I'll see you in the next one.